Washington Commanders and the New York Football Giants. It is going to be Tyrod Taylor under center for the Giants, it seems. I know Daniel Jones listed as officially questionable, but all signs seem to point that he's going to need a week to get it going. They did get back Saquon Barkley last week, and this has now moved either expensive 2.5 or a full 3 on the Washington Commanders, a total another of 37.5 out there. Adam, we could go right back to the well again. Hey, super low total. Get it up to 8.5. Do we go that route? What do you see here from the Giants? I mean, at this point, I don't know if it really matters who plays quarterback, if it is Daniel Jones, if it is Tyrod Taylor, the offensive line being the kind of the wreck that it is right now. I don't know if it really changes my perception of the team all that much. I think at this scenario, we're just kind of like looking and saying, okay, the Giants have played one of the most difficult schedules in all of the NFL to start the season. Washington, on the other hand, has played one of the softest schedules of the entire NFL to start the season. And so these teams are probably about equal. It's just we think maybe a little bit better of the Commanders. So I don't know, man. I think it's an interesting teaser leg from the Giants side when it's all said and done. But maybe that ends up being the Giants and Falcons in my account. But again, not in there yet.
This is also a pass for me, despite the fact that it fits all of those Wong criteria that we like so much. I have one fantasy league in which I play with a number of my old college buddies. And the name of the team used to be Turn and Coughlin. Makes sense, right? I named the team this year Day Bowling for Dollars because I really felt like I'm in on the big fat man. Like he's our guy. He got our team to overperform last year. We played really well. And I changed the name of the team 2 weeks ago to I Fear for Daniel Jones' Life because I do fear for Daniel Jones' life. His neck got bent back once again last week. This offensive line is one of the worst you will ever see on any NFL field. And they're going to be down multiple starters again. Andrew Thomas is not going to play. John Michael Schmitz is not going to play. Even Shane Lemieux, who was backing up and was the number 2 center, is not going to play. So it is going to be not only the worst of the Giants' offensive line, but then some backups to go with them as well. They're making signings off other teams' practice squads to fill it out. I don't know that you can find exactly where the bottom might be for this Giants team on the offensive side of the ball. Do not be fooled by what you saw last week out of the New York Giants. I think that had a lot more to do with the fact that there's some signal in whatever's wrong with Buffalo right now than it does with how the Giants played overall in that game. So if you go and filter out garbage time, and I do even a little more aggressively than Steven was talking about, 20% to 80%, the Washington offense is actually upper half of the league. And Sam Howell is actually number 12 out of 25 starting quarterbacks. Now, a lot of that EPA is on big plays, right?
Yeah.
About Sam Howell getting some big gainers. This is a Giants defense that will give up those explosive plays. It's entirely possible. So hard lean to the 2.5, laying it with Washington if you can get there.
Yeah, I actually think if I played this straight up, I have no problem 2.5. I have no problem 3. I actually probably have no problem even playing some alts on Washington because it kind of feels like one of those games where it's like if it's going to go Washington's way, like you said, Adam, it's probably because Howell's playing a pretty decent game. The defense just, even though they haven't been great so far this year, is being able to limit a very, very limited offensive line and can't protect whoever in the hell ends up playing quarterback. And, is this a 10-point game? I think very easily it could be a 10-point game. So I think if I went that direction or end up ultimately going that direction, I might sprinkle in some alts as well because I'm not really afraid of it then at that point staying close because the handicap is the offensive line is not going to be able to handle what Washington brings to the table. The offense has actually been fairly decent whenever you factor out some of the garbage time stuff. So in theory, then at that point, I think we could be getting, well on the other side of a field goal. Steven, what do you see here in Washington and the Giants?
I have Washington minus 2.5 in my account. I made that bet, and it is because I am a big believer that when you have this many injuries on the offensive line, it just catapults your entire offense from being consistent. And I agree with Adam that I thought last week was more about some issues with Buffalo, and maybe we'll get to that in a little bit. I see a lot of similarities here to a team that we saw last year in the Los Angeles Rams, who were just a mash unit on their offensive line. And it took a while for the market to adjust to that reality because Matthew Stafford was still the quarterback in a lot of those games. And I was firing bets against the Rams because I just didn't feel like, yes, Cooper Kupp wasn't there either, but I'm pretty sure the Giants this year don't have Cooper Kupp as well. So I don't think this is a viable offense with how hurt the offensive line is. I don't think they can move the ball. So I would be terrified to take a teaser leg out with them based on that. They could lose by double digits any given week. So I will absolutely take the commies here under a field goal, even though it is a divisional game on the road, which is typically not something you want to do. But yeah, I feel very comfortable with it just because I don't care if it's Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor. This is one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen.